Some people don't just break rules. They burn them, and then act surprised when they choke on the smoke. That was Todd. The day he smirked at me and said, "Safety rules are just suggestions," I knew I'd be the one holding the match when his career went up in flames. I'd been the maintenance supervisor at a mid-sized food processing plant for 6 years, the kind of place where you could smell warm bread drifting down the street before you even turned the corner. That smell, it made people think of comfort, home, Sunday mornings. But behind that comforting aroma was a steel and fire jungle. Industrial ovens the size of small garages. Conveyor belts with enough torque to snap a wrench in half. Pressurized steam lines that hissed like angry snakes. One mistake, one skipped safety step, and that bread factory could turn into a headline. That's why the safety rules weren't just printed in a handbook. They were drilled into every single one of us. Weekly inspections, checklists for ovens, conveyors, electricals, steam lines. Not optional, not negotiable. Law. And then, Todd arrived. He was the new operations manager, fresh from some corporate boot camp where they teach you how to smile without meaning it. Shiny shoes, expensive cologne, perfectly gelled hair. The kind of guy who talks like he's giving a TED Talk, but somehow makes you want to punch a wall. Within the first week, I learned his favorite line. Rules are just suggestions if you're confident enough. Yeah, confidence he had. Competence? We were about to find out. From the moment Todd took over, his obsession was efficiency. Meetings cut in half, shifts shuffled like a deck of cards. And worst of all, our weekly safety inspections? Gone. When I told him that state law required them, he didn't even pretend to care. You do maintenance, I do business. Stay in your lane. That sentence didn't just annoy me, it stuck in my head like a splinter. So I stayed in my lane, but I took a camera with me. Every missed inspection, logged. Every email he ignored, saved. Blocked fire exits, frayed power cords patched with duct tape. Click, click, click. At first, it was just to cover myself, but with every smug grin Todd threw my way, every shortcut he took, that file stopped feeling like insurance and started feeling like a loaded gun. Weeks passed, and Todd's efficiency began to show its cracks. An oven thermostat failed, scorching half a batch of bread. A conveyor jammed so bad it took hours to fix, all because the bearing that should have been replaced had been overlooked. Todd, he just shrugged. Part of doing business. But then came the day he crossed the one line you never cross. It was a Thursday morning. The plant smelled like fresh rye bread and burnt toast, a sign that something was already wrong. Todd marched into the maintenance office, eyes locked on me, clipboard in hand. The oven's auto shutoff keeps tripping. I want it bypassed. Today. For anyone outside this industry, that shutoff sensor isn't a suggestion. It's the only thing that stops an overheating oven from becoming a fireball. It's sacred. You don't touch it. I told him that. His reply was, "It's killing productivity. Get it done." His tone made it clear this wasn't a request. It was an order. I stood there for a long moment, feeling my pulse in my ears. I pictured the worst-case scenario, a fire tearing through the plant, people trapped, headlines splashed across the news. And then I realized Todd wasn't just digging his grave, he was handing me the shovel. So I bypassed the sensor. And I documented every single step. His written order, the before and after photos, the time-stamped logs. I even took a shot of him walking away from the oven, smirking. That was the final piece of my collection, the smoking gun. I didn't make the call that day. I waited. 3 days later, a pallet of flour was left blocking a fire exit. That was it. the final straw. I slipped into the break room during lunch, pulled out my phone, and dialed the fire marshal's office. My hand actually shook as I hit call. Not out of fear, but out of anticipation. I didn't lie. I didn't exaggerate. I told them exactly what I'd seen, offered to send over supporting documentation, and mentioned a little detail about a bypassed oven safety sensor. The voice on the other end didn't ask many questions. They just said, "We'll take it from here." It happened the following Tuesday, mid-shift. The plant was in full swing. Ovens roaring, conveyors rattling, the air thick with heat and flour dust. Then the front doors swung open. 3 inspectors in navy jackets strode in. No smiles, no small talk. The kind of entrance that freezes the air in the room. Todd appeared almost instantly, wearing that fake corporate grin. "Gentlemen, what can I do for you?" They didn't answer. One headed for the ovens, another for the electrical panels, the third towards the fire exits. From where I stood, I could see Todd's grin falter. It wasn't panic yet, but it was coming. The first hit came quick. Blocked exit, violation. The second hit, frayed power cord that crumbled in the inspector's hands. Todd started sweating. His voice got tighter every time he tried to explain. And then came the knockout punch. The lead inspector opened the oven control panel, saw the bypassed safety sensor, looked at Todd, dead in the eye. "Sir, that's a $25,000 fine and grounds for immediate shutdown." You could almost hear the collective gasp from the crew. Todd's face went pale, like someone had drained all the color out with a syringe. Corporate was on site in hours. The ovens were shut down, the floor silent. Todd was pacing his office like a trapped animal when 2 corporate reps walked in. They didn't argue. They didn't ask questions. They handed him a termination notice and walked him out in front of everyone. His perfect shoes clicked down the hallway. Every employee stopped what they were doing to watch. No one spoke. No one waved. The door slammed. Todd was gone. It took a week to fix everything and get the plant cleared for reopening. Morale? Higher than it had been in years. Because nothing unites a team like watching arrogance get taken down by reality. 2 weeks later, I got called into the plant manager's office. The same chair Todd had sat in, telling me to stay in my lane. The plant manager smiled. "We think you do a better job running operations." And just like that, his job was mine. Months later, I heard through the grapevine that Todd had applied for another management job at a different plant. Apparently, during the background check, someone sent them my inspection log photos, the ones with his signature on the bypass order. He didn't get the job. In fact, I heard he's been consulting from home ever since. And that logbook, it's still in my desk drawer. Not because I need it, but because sometimes when I flip through those pages, I remember the day Todd learned, rules aren't suggestions. They're the thin line between business as usual and a $25,000 disaster. And the funniest part? Todd always said confidence could get you through anything. Turns out, it can also walk you straight into the fire.